All right, today's Brain Drops were 15 years and a day from the anniversary of the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster. A couple of interesting things to think about with this and some things that I learned. For those not familiar with what exactly happened, this is in 2003. This is the launch of the shuttle here. So the spacecraft ultimately burned up on re-entry to the Earth's atmosphere. And what caused this is relatively interesting. There's insulation all over the rocket boosters here on the space shuttle. And the reason for that is it's hydrogen and oxygen, and it's cold. So they can't have ice developing on the booster because it will break off and fragment and destroy things. This is a close-up of what they ultimately determined was the cause. If you look closely into the orange there, you see a piece of orange on the space shuttle. That's a piece of the insulation that was used, foam insulation. It hit the underside of the wing. But remember, the speeds we're talking about upon a launch here. It's not just like dropping a piece of foam. So they noticed this about a day after the launch occurred, and NASA and ground control said, we might need to investigate this further. The decision was made, and here's the interesting human side, the decision was made not to tell the crew about the possible damage to the craft. And the reason for this was that they had no way to fix it. So they didn't have a robotic arm. They were too far away to send another space shuttle up. They couldn't get it up in time. They would have run out of oxygen.
So they did not know.
So they did not know. So basically the decision was made. They still have a chance to make it through the Earth's atmosphere. Let's keep them level-headed. Let's see if they can do that, if it can happen. And if not, it's better that they don't know. And of course, it ended in tragedy. And basically what happened was the hole that was produced punched through a tile that was a thermal tile designed to stop the heat. When you re-enter the atmosphere, it's a tremendous amount of friction. You're going about 18,000 miles an hour, which is about 35 times the speed of a plane. And the heat got into the craft, and the rest is history. Interesting, though, we talked about it earlier in the newsroom. Would you want to know, or would you not want to know?
I mean,
you know?
in this specific situation, when you're an astronaut, I think you're signing up for inherent risk where you might not come back from your trip. So,
yep.
But
it's
as a
obviously
family
awful.
member or a loved one of one of those crew members, I think I'd be a little worked up knowing they didn't know all the details, all the facts.
I guess because they couldn't do anything differently.
Right.
And one final thing, this is radar from Louisiana on the day, and what you're seeing is the pieces of debris being picked up on the radar as it streaks down to the ground. So tragedy, they did learn something from it, but unfortunately lost 7 people there.